outlet or something?
Close. I just listened to electric air.
Electric air.
Electric air.
Can everyone stop repeating electric air and tell me what electric air is?
Electric air will get your heart racing, neurons sparking, and lips smiling. Join me, Tova, as I shock your ears with EDM's greatest hits. 5 out of 5 doctors agree 1 hour of electric air every week is just what you need to increase your energy and leave you feeling stimulated. Side effects may include uncontrollable mood swings, shuffling, and in some extreme cases, headbanging.
Too much headbanging, huh?
Dude, those side effects are serious. Seriously amazing.
So join me every Wednesday night at 8 for Electric Air on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
You are listening to Beyond the Game on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I am Jake Valk. Sitting across from me is Dominick Arbolino and Eric Fischetti. Dominick is waiting on the phone for Neville Johnson. He's coming up soon, I promise. But, Eric, I know there's something you want to get into. And while we have some time to kill, go ahead. Tim Hardaway Jr.'s offer sheet with the Knicks.
Okay, I just want to say that the triangle worked finally because Tim Hardaway was traded during the draft for Jerry Grant. Jerry Grant was traded for Derrick Rose. And Tim Hardaway, from that money to rescind from Derrick Rose's contract, is back on the Knicks. So, Phil, the triangle worked. So, you were right. The triangle worked. And he said...
It's the triangle. It's just not the triangle offense. It's like the triangle connection.
No, but it's fine because he said... He's okay if he's not here for the Knicks' success. So finally, the Knicks can finally hope, unless it gets matched, which I don't think it will. Honestly, it's a lot of money, and I don't think the Hawks can match that because they still need to pay Bazemore, like a lot of money. I think $54 million, actually.
They owe Bazemore a lot of money. They're doing what the Nets are doing. I was going to say like father, like son, but it's not really that. Like bad team is what I'm trying to say.
No, that's fine. But going back to Hardaway for a second, that's kind of scary because Hardaway wasn't here when Porzingis was here. And I think they can mesh together really well because right now, this second, the starting 5 would be Carmelo Anthony, if he doesn't get traded, Kristaps Porzingis, Courtney Lee, Frank Ntilikina, and Tim Hardaway Jr. That is not a bad lineup. I mean, considering that if Ntilikina's not hurt... I haven't seen him play in a Summer League game yet, and yes, I do watch the Summer League because it's still basketball.
You do?
I do sometimes if it's on. Damian Dotson is... Oh, my God. That was a good pickup. I didn't really hear the guy. He came out of Houston, and he just was shooting lights out. He has a very, very good shot. I don't know if you've seen it. He's got a smooth release.
I do not watch the Summer League.
He reminds me of Gallinari, honestly.
Okay. All right. I want Gallinari on the Nets, but he went to the Clippers. Of course, and now they're throwing a bunch of money at Otto Porter. Oh, man.
How do you feel about the Porter thing to the Nets?
You know, it's a lot of money, and I don't think Porter's worth it, but at the same time, this is something that they had to do. They have to go after these young free agents and hope that their teams don't match. But then again, the Wizards have said repeatedly that they're going to match. So I feel like it's just a waste of time. I'd have liked them to go after Gallinari. I'd have liked them to go after Rudy Gay as opposed to going after someone who you know you're not going to get. I don't care what quirks you put in the contract. The Wizards have said for time immemorial, we are going to match any offer to Otto Porter. And yeah, I commend you for getting creative. The trade kicker, the player option, the advance on the salary, that's fine. I commend the creativity. But it's still not going to work. You're still missing a power forward at the end of the day. It's just not going to work.
Is there anybody out there that you would still want them to go for?
You know, this is kind of my last-ditch option, but I wouldn't mind Ersan Ilyasova. He's decent.
I feel like that could work.
Ilyasova's decent.
He's a good role player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not asking him to put up 20 points a game. That
would be nice, though.
That would be nice. If it's being offered, I wouldn't turn it down. But he could be the third best player on the Nets. I could go for that.
But at this point, me as a Knicks fan, you as a Net fan, honestly, you have more to look forward to than the Knicks do.
Yes.
In all seriousness, the best thing that the Knicks have to look forward to is Kristaps Porzingis' development and a potential...
Ntilikina.
And Ntilikina, that's true, and a potential trade for Carmelo Anthony. But You know what? The Nets are doing a very, very good thing right now. They shedded Brook Lopez's contract, and I thought that a lot of Nets fans would be upset. Honestly, they weren't.
No.
Because
it was expected.
it was inevitable. That's a word.
It's going to be like a Carmelo Anthony trade. You might not want him to go, but you're not going to see fans screaming from the rooftops.
You're not going to say no.
Exactly.
Because it's a lot of money. And although Brook Lopez was a great net,
Yes, he was.
He was a great net. It was just not worth the contract because I remember you blasting him, saying that he can't rebound to save his life.
He can't.
And you're right. But he can shoot threes, and a lot of centers are doing that right now. So I think he'll stay in the NBA longer if that's the case.
And he can't defend to save his life either. I mean, that's just, oh, man. He's 7 feet tall. He plays like he's 6 feet tall.
But he is in a good place, though, in L.A.
He's in an excellent place.
Lonzo Ball, Brook Lopez, pick and roll.
You know, I kind of feel sorry for Brook Lopez. He's been such a good soldier. He's been mentioned in trade rumors since 2010. He was almost traded twice. And now he's finally been traded. And I do wish him nothing but the best in Los Angeles. All right. I am a man of my word. We do have Neville Johnson on the phone with us. He is the author of the John Wooden Pyramid of Success and Woodenisms. And again, right after this, we'll be giving away some Long Island Ducks tickets, so stay tuned. But without further ado, Neville, how are you?
I'm super. Thank you.
All right. So what can you tell us about John Wooden?
Well, John Wooden is a saint and one of the finest human beings to ever walk the planet. He is known for being the greatest coach in basketball and arguably, probably, the greatest coach in the history of all time because of his winning records as the UCLA basketball coach, in which he created a number of unequaled and I would say unapproachable records, including 8 out of 10 years winning the national, or 10 out of 12 years winning the national championship, winning the national championship 7 years in a row, 3 undefeated seasons, and it goes on and on and on. But more than being a great coach, he was a philosopher and created this thing called the Pyramid of Success, which was his philosophy of what it means to be successful in life. And so this was recognized during his career, but afterwards it also exploded as well throughout America for people interested in leadership and self-improvement. And so he continues to live on in our hearts and minds and the record books. And so that's who he is.
All right, so how did Wooden have such an impact on so many people?
First of all, as a basketball coach, he was just superb. He was totally organized and did a great job at it. And what was interesting about his career is that after he stopped coaching each of the individual athletes, he stayed in touch with almost all of them and had a mentoring friendship relationship with them. So it was interesting to see the change from being teacher supervisor to friend and so I when I talked to him, he knew where almost every one of his students had been going back to high school 40, 50 years earlier, etc. So that's number one, is why he had an influence on people. Those who played for him or worked with him or were the managers of the teams just adored him for the most part. And then afterwards, as his philosophy became more known, people just said, yeah, this is the guy, and he became a highly sought-after motivational speaker. And they give away, what's the best award? The number one award in basketball for college students. It's called the John Wooden Award. So that gives you an idea.
Very deserving that it's named after him, too.
Yeah, that's true. And what do you think that people today can learn from Wooden?
You know, one of his sayings was, the most important word in the English language is love, followed by balance.
Nice.
And I think that's extraordinary to hear that from somebody who was a coach. You know, what's he talking about? What is life really about? He told his students, he called them student athletes, you've come here for an education first, then basketball. He was all about mental, moral, physical, spiritual compatibility and balance overall. And one of my favorite stories is that of his daughter, who said, unless you had been at the game that day, you would have no idea who won or lost, because Daddy was just his same old self. And he said, never get high after a victory, never get low after a defeat. Just play your game. So I would say, what is he all about? He's all about fundamentals, and most fundamental is his philosophy about the pyramid of success, which is that success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you've made the effort to become your best. And he says the cornerstones are enthusiasm and hard work and going after a great and difficult challenge.
Talking to Neville Johnson, the author of two very good books, The John Wooden Pyramid of Success and Woodenisms. Can't recommend those books enough. They're really good. So why do you think that Wooden's Pyramid of Success is so successful as a formula to winning?
Well, let me just say first of all, Coach Wooden never used the word winning. He said it's all about we would outscore the opponent.
Interesting.
And so it's all about doing your best is really what it comes down to overall. The pyramid has application in the daily life of every person who walks the planet. And if you think about it, what we're all looking for is peace of mind overall. And everything is changing all the time in our jobs and we age and all the rest of that. We have to maintain as much as possible our equilibrium and put in perspective what is important. And so what he was able to, what he said once was, the most important thing is family, and then the Lord. I hope, and he goes, and I hope the Lord will understand.
I like that.
Yeah, and it works not just in. See, what I liked about it when I saw it for the first time was its utter rationality and simplicity, and it just makes sense, good common sense for anybody. And it's not, religious, although he says, you should have faith and things like that. But these are the elements, some of the elements anyway. Friendship, loyalty, cooperation. That was a big thing, and it's one of his building blocks also. It's called team spirit. He was all about having the team work coherently and cohesively. Mm-hmm. He says skill, condition, alertness, self-control, poise and confidence, integrity, patience. These are all values that we have, but when you think about them and put them together, no. And he says no one's ever going to achieve perfection. That's just what you strive for,
Mm-hmm, definitely. What do you think that readers will most garner from your books? About
how you can have, so many people are successful in life and don't, and that fail in other areas, let's say, of their happiness or, don't take care of themselves, etc. What you will learn about is an utterly disciplined yet charming man, very witty guy, who had a completely fulfilled life. And it goes to show you that, it's not just, you don't get everything out of life isn't about your job, So yeah, he was the greatest coach, and then he retired, and he continued to go on and make friends and enjoy himself overall and love. I mean, if you want, it's about a man who epitomized the concept of love. He was just a gracious guy.
And is there anything that surprised you the most about Wooden's life?
Yeah. It was his. I don't know if it's that surprising once I'd really studied him, but his utter lack of interest in money. In other words, I said to him, "Don't you think you would have been a great businessman?" He said, "I hope not." And so when he retired in 1975, he was making $32,500 a year, which is probably like $175,000 a year right now.
I was going to say, he got it just for inflation.
Yeah, and he had made a fortune, was making a fortune for UCLA, and really put UCLA on the map. But he had many opportunities to coach baseball. He was offered, I think, a job at the Pirates. Because he loved baseball, he was offered the opportunity to coach the Lakers. No, he liked college ball, and he didn't care about endorsements and all the rest of that stuff. And then after his retirement, he gave his money away to his kids and and other things like that. So I suppose that was it's surprising, but at the same time inspiring.
Talking to Neville